channel. This morning we're talking about period and mental health. Believe it or not, period does affect your mental health. A lot of us go through lots of feelings of shame and depression, and a lot of us go through feelings of inadequacy because of our period experience. And we're going to get some help this morning on how we can deal with some of those issues, because it is a real thing. I am drawn to the way how the public responds to period. I hear lots of horror stories from women and girls about how they have a little accident and how the public responds. So for example, most recently I can recall a young lady telling me about an incident that she had on the bus. She was going to school and her period had started and she didn't realize. And apparently she was sitting there on the bus and she was bleeding through her skirt. And when she got up to come off the bus, that is when somebody noticed the spot on the seat that she was sitting on, and obviously noticed the back of her skirt. And rather than just informing her quietly that, you know, she made a mess, it was a loud exchange and, hey girl, you know, see how you're nasty, and in the Jamaican vernacular of how we know how to describe things, because I don't think anybody do it better than us. We're very good at describing things. And they really made her feel very, very shameful, because let me tell you something. For those who don't know, no woman wants to walk up and down with a blood stain at the back of her clothes. If she's walking with a blood stain at the back of her clothes, she don't know that it is there. She's not aware that it is there. So you really have to remember that before you start telling her all sorts of things, because we are very, very famous for being very descriptive. And because of the way we see periods, we think that it is almost done on purpose. I don't know any woman who goes on purpose and bleeds on somebody's upholstery. I mean, I have been in situations where I've personally bled on different upholstery, nice offices, some nice new pretty couch, but it wasn't my intention to do so, but that's how I was flowing that day. And you know, if I didn't have the type of personality that I have, then I would have been thrown into depression as well. And I recognize that not everybody deals with situations the way I do. So I think that it is important for us to be able to look at the real impact that our actions have on people, and we need to make sure that whenever we say something judgmental to somebody, that we recognize that we are actually affecting that person's day, and sometimes for the worse. Okay, so that will at least help us pause before we go ahead and do that. All right, we're going to be joined this morning by clinical psychologist Dr. Karelle Hylton. She also works in schools. She's a guidance counselor in schools, and she is going to be helping us this morning to just go through some of the mental issues that we can face and what we can do about them, especially as it relates to our period. Now, one of the things that I think we perpetrate very heavily is shame through our culture. Culturally, we still haven't rectified the way we deal with periods, and I really want us to change that. That is something that I think is so important. You still have mothers telling their daughters that they need to hide their periods, that they need to ensure that their fathers don't ever see that they have periods, which I don't even know who started that foolishness, because period is just a part of growing up, especially when a young girl gets her period. That means, number one, she's healthy. That means, number two, she's growing up and her body is developing. And so that's an indication that her mind is also developing. So if your first instinct when that process starts is to tell her that she needs to hide it and shut it down and throw shame on it, is this dirty little secret that she must learn how to keep, you're already adding a lot of angst and a lot of negativity to her experience, because now she can't just experience what it is like to have her body develop, which is its own challenge, because some of us, the transition wasn't so seamless. Some of our bodies in going from girl to woman is a very challenging process, because some of us develop earlier than others. some of us have different, we start comparing ourselves to what's going on with our friends at school. Because like, for example, when I was going to school, I was the first one to show up in a training bra. And I remember we're changing for PE and them see me in my training bra. And of course, people had things to say. But because me stay so, from I was a child, I properly tell them off. But it's not everybody respond that way to this kind of things. It could have also been them start tease me about it and then I become self-conscious about my body and then it became an issue. So we really, really have to be aware of what we do to individuals. And I mean, that is high school and kids in school are you know, children know them stay, them not really hold nothing back. But as the adults, we have to make an effort to ensure that we don't add to the depression, that we don't add to the mental angst, that we don't add to the negative talk whenever we're helping girls to develop from their childhood to their adulthood. There was a post on social media, on Instagram, a gentleman named Rupi Karu. He posted a picture of his wife sleeping, and when she was sleeping, apparently she bled through her pants, and she bled a little on the sheet. And when he posted the picture on Instagram, he said something nice like, you know, he woke up to his wife like this, and him cleaned her up and changed the sheets, and you know, he was so happy that he was there to help her and all of that. And suppose you see the type of comments that the man got for putting up that post. And even beyond that, Instagram took down the photo. And when they took it down, they put it back up. And they took it down again. Instagram eventually apologized for taking down the photo. So just think about that. She's fully clothed. You're not seeing any body parts then think you should cover up. But all you're seeing is her period was coming through the back of her pajama pants, and there was a little on the sheet. And Instagram took that down. And I've seen dead bodies on Instagram. So think about that. We are more comfortable with dead bodies than we are with period blood. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to let that sink in for a minute. Make you just see the sickness of that. Yes, he said that problematic though. So that is really something that we definitely, as a society, we have to do better with. You see somebody on the news, they're watching the news and gunshot a fire, or let's talk about action movies. Who love an action movie? Action movie, you see man head slice off, and you see man head shoot off, and man are going and enough people are dead and all of that, and nobody's disgusted. And the minute somebody said the word period, oh my God, that's too much information. Why are you even talking about that right now? It's not the time or place. It's inappropriate. But you can sit down and watch how much episodes of that movie there. But yeah, well, because nowadays they're not trying to hide it anymore, you know. Once upon a time, you know, just hear the sound, like you hear when the man gets shot and go, ah! And in then, now, them show you it fully. You see from the time him get shot, till him all act out when the life leave him body, and him act out, so if them go and slice him across him head, you see the top piece just drop off of the head and the other piece just left so, and we watch that comfortably. But when it comes to period, we don't even want to hear the word. We're not physically seeing anything, you know. Don't want to hear the word. I've actually heard a woman say that when she sees blood, she's so disgusted. So I asked her, I said, is it blood in general? Or is it other people's blood? Or is it just because it's period blood? Because there's a definite different level of disgust when it's period blood versus when it's anything else. So they'll be comfortable eating popcorn, watching people being decapitated. But if they go in the bathroom and see a pad in the garbage, everybody's disgusted. Think about that. So, we're going to be talking this morning about ourselves and how we see each other. So, we want to talk a little bit about the mental anguish that we go through and what we can do to deal with some of that. So, we're going to be joined in a couple of minutes by Dr. Karelle Hylton, Clinical Psychologist. And we want to talk about some of the things that we experience when it comes to mental health because of our periods. Because, as I said, there are certain experiences that we have that will affect us mentally, that affect our the way we feel about ourselves. It affects our confidence. It affects our ability to even complete our day, complete a task, because you are so depressed by the whole thing, right? So we want to look at some of those things this morning. And of course, you know, feel free to send in your questions. I think I saw somebody sending one earlier. Which, CC Sophisticated says she wished this message were given to girls in school. Well, we actually do a lot of this work in schools. So we're literally just waiting for schools to be opened up to see what the parameters are going to be when we go back to school. Good morning, Dr. Hilton.
Morning, Shelly. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi. Welcome, welcome. All right, so I'm just going to jump into it. We're looking at period and mental health. And I want to find out from you. I mean, I've had many different anecdotal conversations with both girls and women. And I just want to find out from you in your work, what are your thoughts on how period or the whole period experience affects us from a mental standpoint?
Well, with all that is happening with our bodies, especially for teen girls, when it is that they enter into womanhood, how they're initiated into it, it is usually covered with shame. It is not celebrated. It is something to cover up. And that is why we have that shaming aspect of it. It affects your self-esteem. Young girls in particular are a bunch of hormones. And puberty, with everything that is happening with puberty, all the hormonal changes, all the physical changes, all the emotional changes that we're going through, this can bring us into, you know, mental health issues. And it would be worse for persons who have premenstrual syndrome or premenstrual dysmorphic disorder.
Right.
Underlying mental issues like bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety disorders. These are some of the challenges that women face. But the fact that we are not initiated into womanhood and it is celebrated and it's something that everybody talks about, that is one of the reasons why we have challenges in terms of how we interpret it for ourselves, how we process it for ourselves. And we have challenges because we don't process it enough, we don't appreciate ourselves enough, we don't love ourselves enough. This is a normal process. This is something that we go through, and this is how we are as women. Right. So we don't look at it as normal, we look at it as something that we're ashamed of, something that we want to hide away from.
Well, I was in my introduction, I was talking about some of the things that we do from a cultural standpoint that actually breeds into everything that you just said. For example, little girls are still taught that they must hide their period so well that especially the men in the house must never know that they have a period. And I always challenge the validity of that, because why wouldn't a father want to know that his daughter is growing up and that she's healthy? Because that's literally what it is, you know. Because if you have a daughter and she hit 15 and you're not sure she's having a period yet, we have a problem.
Right, because that is not part of the natural process of being a woman. To enter into womanhood, it shouldn't be something that we're ashamed or afraid of. And the men need to be more sympathetic and more supportive of. So it all started how we're socialized. It started how we're educated, how we're socialized, how girls are, as I said before, initiated into the whole process of being a woman. We have to celebrate being women. And the men love us, so why shouldn't they know what is going on with us too? So that they can be sympathetic. When girls come to school and they have an accident, you know, there's nothing to laugh about, there's nothing to hide away from. It's just that she's unbecoming a woman, and that's beautiful in of itself.
Of course. All right, so you spoke earlier about the fact that the beginning of the period is not celebrated. And I've been advocating for parents to have period parties, because I think that's a great opportunity to have the conversation, the initial conversation, because it's not one talk, it's a series of talks. So, but I think that's a good space to start the conversation, and it's in a nice, relaxed environment where there's not a lot of pressure, and it gives the girl the opportunity to also learn from the experience of the women around her. But I find that introducing that whole idea is such a challenge, because when I say to people have period party, they go, what? That is not, what's a period party? I don't want to party with a period. But just from your standpoint, in your capacity, what would you advise mothers or even parents, anybody who's on the line right now, who has a daughter who has not yet started her period? How can we start breaking this cycle right now to ensure that we have more confident girls, more prepared girls when it's time for them to transition to womanhood?
We have to just start the discussion. Women, mothers, start talking to your daughters about it. When you're having your periods, talk to them about it. Tell them what is happening. Tell them about the hormonal changes that are going to take place. Tell them how irritable and upset you're going to be. So we have to start the education of ourselves as parents, as mothers, as women. We're not supposed to be ashamed of it. We should be, as I said, celebrating it. So start the discussion. However limited you think your information is, you have experienced it, share your own experiences.
Yeah.
Talk about it. That's where we start to demystify this scary thing that is going to happen. Don't tell them you're a big woman now and you must make a boy touch you. Talk to them. They express feelings and emotions. Have them talk to you too. Because a lot of times they give them the sanitary pad when it starts. The poor girl is so confused. They don't know what to do. Yeah. And then most times they go outside and get information which is not necessarily correct. And then they're missing. So the shaming continues. So we just have to start the discussion. Open discussion.
Oh, I'm so happy you said that, because the open, honest part is important. Because a lot of parents in the goal to protect them, they don't want to tell them certain things. So they tell them part that they think might be relevant and leave out the other part. And I think that is counterproductive, because I actually met a woman. She's an older lady now, and she said to me that when she initially started her period, she said her mother told her that if a man touch her, she's going to get pregnant. And she said she spent 2 months to hide from a man. And she said distinctly remember this boy actually came up and touched her, and she was horrified because she thinks she's pregnant. Now, can you just imagine? I can't even imagine the sort of, oh, she was just freaking out just from that piece of information. And I don't think her mother was being malicious when she was telling her that. And it is so, all of these nice intentions can put you in a position where you actually put a child in danger just because you're not giving them the full information. So it's so important that you actually have real factual conversations with them.
Right, open and honest, so that even if you break it down into terms that they can understand, use the terms, use the analogies. People are still afraid of saying vagina. They don't know the correct names for the parts of the body. You know what I mean? So these are some of the things with everything else that is happening with a child or a young girl, puberty, the hormones popping all over the place, physical changes, acne, emotional changes. You're talking about the academic performance that they have. So it is a whole lot of things that they have to be balancing at this time. So giving them the information. Some parents think that they're protecting them by not giving them everything, but to be informed is to be armed. So give them all the information you have. And as you said before, it's a continuous discussion.
Yes, it's not one conversation.
It can't be one conversation. I had a story where this girl, she had her menarche, the first period, and she was in the bathroom for hours trying to wash it away because she thought that something was wrong. Because nobody had a discussion with her, and it is traumatizing, because then you see all of this, you're having your first period, you're seeing all of this blood coming out, and you don't understand what is happening. She thought she was going to die. So we have to open the discussion. We have to open the discussion.
I just said that I want you to share with us some of the experiences that you have had dealing with girls at school, because part of the challenge that some of us have as adults is we forget what it was like when we were that age, and when we didn't know all we know now. And I've had my own personal experiences, just, when I go into the schools and I talk to the girls one-on-one, they tell me their own little stories. But I would love to hear if you can tell us maybe about something particular that stands out just in trying to navigate this process with teenage girls that you're around every day. If there's any particular story you want to share with us.
Okay, I can share one. It might not be very pleasant to hear.
No,
but
I've had a situation where
after a while, we found out that young girls would come and they have an odor. And then, you know, the odor comes around at a particular time. So then they're referred to us. And this particular young lady, she came and, you know, in talking with her and questioning, we realized that she's having her period. However, because she cannot afford to buy the sanitary napkin, she was improvising. She was using newspaper. And, you know, everything, not being able to practice proper hygiene, it created that scent. And it was heartbreaking for me to realize that this young lady never thought it wise enough to come. She never felt comfortable enough to say something. And, you know, having that discussion with her, we spoke to her about changing the sanitary napkins, you know, getting access to it. And with programs like your, Shelly-Ann, we must big you up, because you're bringing it to the fore, you're taking the sanitary napkins, they're making it affordable. I've always had the thought that if they can give condoms at the health centers, why not sanitary napkins to the girls? Because it's a natural process. So in that situation, that young lady, she felt so much better, because she was able to say, okay, I can get sanitary napkins from the counselor. I know I have to change it regularly, have enough to change. So that was one of the stories that we, you know, go through. And, you know, ever so often we talk to the children, we talk to the parents too. When we find them like that, we don't embarrass them. We try not to make them feel done. We try to build their self-esteem, build their, you know, self-awareness. So that hygiene works hand in hand with being a woman, and celebrating this new and this important part of your life, you know. So that's what we do. What we do here.
Well, I'm so happy you brought that up, because I spend a lot of my time, even now that period poverty is being spoken about around the world, and you have governments you just make period products free to all their schools across the board, and I spend a lot of my time convincing people that period poverty is actually something that affects girls in Jamaican schools, because they're like, they don't care about that. No. Actually, somebody told me that nothing now goes up, because I in hairstyle and makeup all the time. They must can buy a backpack of pad. And like you, I always thought, if we can provide free condoms, we can provide free sanitary products, because at the end of the day, sex is a choice, period is not. And I'm not saying condoms are not supposed to be free. I think they are. But I also think that menstrual products are supposed to be free as well. And one of the biggest myths that people have is that they feel like giving free menstrual products is going to stop menstrual products from selling. But you have condoms selling the same way, and free condoms are available. So one don't have anything to do with the other. So I'm really happy that you brought that up, because I mean, especially in 2020, I have had to still find a way to get products to girls who would normally be in schools, because the schools are easy for me to go to because it's a fixed location. But in the middle of COVID, when all the schools are closed, we have to find other ways to get the products into the communities to where the young ladies are. And a lot of times the parents have to benefit too, because if she don't have any, we can assume that her mother don't have any either. So that is something. Go ahead.
As you brought up about schools, in schools you realize that young ladies, because they can get access to sanitary napkins at a reasonable cost, sometimes it's like $20, you find that they buy more than one, because it's easier to buy and get it at school at that reduced cost. And and that's what we need. We need them to know that it should be easily accessible. The cost shouldn't be a deterrent for them to use sanitary napkins, because that's what we need as women. So where they're at school, for the few months that they were out, I was concerned for some of the young ladies too, because you have those regulars who come and they buy 10 as against going to the store to buy a pack. So we had that concern for our girls out there too, which shouldn't happen.
No, man, without a doubt. But that is. I'm looking at doing a program right now that we're trying to get into the clinics, into the community. So we're having conversations with the Ministry of Health right now to have access to those clinics, so that we can supply products into the clinic. So even if they're not at school, they can still go to the clinics and get them supplied. So that is something that I'm actually working on right now. So people, bracing themselves, are coming to beg soon. So
we should support each other, man.
No, man, trust me, that is how we're able to do this work. Where I beg and people show up, and a lot of people in the diaspora, some of them tuning in right now, a lot of people in the diaspora, they really go in, they dig deep, and they send boxes of pads. over the Christmas last year, I was going back and forth to the airport to meet people who bring one suitcase full of pad. They have very interesting conversation with the customs officers, but they get the products here, and that is how we are able to continue the work. So I'm really, really grateful for that. But before I let you go, I want you to tell me, give us some tips on how we can do better in terms of how we talk to each other about period, how we deal with the shame, the whole shaming aspect of period, and just what can we do to better empower our girls?
Well, as we said, education is key. And if we are supportive of each other, we share our stories, we share everything in an open, honest way, we get information out, we tell them that they have to embrace womanhood. It is part of who we are, it's part of what makes us unique as women. It is something that all of us go through. So if we share the good and the bad, and we are able to explain in terms that the girls understand, it will be perfect. So shining light on it reduces the shame, it reduces the stigma, it reduces the response from men, it reduces the response from other women to us. Because believe it or not, even though we go through the menstrual cycle, some women actually do shame us into feeling that they.
That's true.
Yeah. But if we open the discussion and we're able to support each other, we provide these resources that we need, we're on our way. We're on our way. And people who are experiencing challenges with the menstrual cycle, eat right, exercise, drink water. Jamaica is blessed with a variety of foods and fruits filled with minerals and vitamins. Eat right, exercise, and you'll be fine. It's not a sickness, and that's something that we need to get out to.
Again for the people in the back. It's not a sickness.
It's not an illness. You know, it's not a sickness and it's not an illness. It's a part of who we are. It's a natural process. And once you change the mindset, how we think about periods, how we think about what is happening, the changes, once you change your mind, good to go.
No, you're absolutely right.
Anything else you have, I say anything else you have to deal with in terms of medication, because some of us women actually do need help in managing the pain, managing the depression that comes with it. But as close to nature as you can get, go the natural way, because it's a natural process. So if you do nature more than the pharmaceutical aspect of it, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. So no, 100%. 100% I agree with you. Especially when you mention the lifestyle part of it. We are not supposed to be in pain every month. Our periods are not supposed to be painful. And everybody who has been into this show every week, you hear me talk about pain a lot, because pain is a reality to a lot of people. And one of the things that I want to emphasize is the fact that pain is an indication that your body is explaining to you that something is wrong. So if you're feeling constant pain, please visit your medical professional and find out what's causing the pain. A lot of times it's something treatable that you can deal with, and you don't have to live through that pain so much anymore. And that lifestyle, go ahead.
And sometimes too, you can go through therapy, because it's changing your mindset, how you think about it, what you think, what you feel, how you react. So if you can go through therapy without even going through medication. But unfortunately, because we're so unique and we're so different and we're so beautiful and diverse, some of us have to take different routes to get to where we want in terms of being normal. So it's not like something is wrong with you. It's just that your makeup is so unique and different.
Right. You know? No, that is true. That is true too. And that's why we have to be aware of our bodies. Figure out what's going on with you. Because that's something that we don't figure out so much, because we're so busy going through the motions. We have work, we have kids, we're running up and down, not enough time in the day. And so a lot of the times we don't really listen to the clues, you don't pay attention to the clues. And it's when we're in a situation now where we drop down.
Yes.
And now we have to realize that, oh, look at that. This is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. So we really have to do something with the situation.
Right, that is so true. As long as we are sharing and we're using for like this, in terms of her flow and the work that you're doing, the period parties, that was a new concept that I really fell in love with. It's really nice. It can help us to share our stories, share the good, the bad, and the ugly. so that we are aware, help each other to navigate through this, especially for the teen girls who are just coming up, so that they are not ignorant to what is happening. So
Absolutely.
education, and keep the discussion going.
Oh,
So we
without
put a
and we can't
to
leave
the
out the fathers. We can't leave out
no,
because they are part of the equation too. So give the fathers who are tuning in right now, so one or two of them pass through the cooler, but give the fathers a piece of advice. What would you say to a father who has a daughter who's going through a period and they don't even know where to start?
well, he can do the research, get in touch with a counselor, talk to another lady, must have a lady friend, you know. And sometimes you want to say, don't have the father talking to the daughter. That's what we need to do. And when we have discussions in terms of period and cycles, and don't separate the boys from the girls, talk to them together so that the boys will know and understand too. Even when you're doing the demonstrations, because I had done that before. When you do the demonstration on how to put on the pad, I called up a boy and it was a lot of laughing, and one brave boy came up. He didn't do so very well. We had to teach him how to do it, but he actually came up. And after a while, the laughing died down, and they said, it's not so bad. So they were able to empathize with the girls. They're not afraid to touch a sanitary napkin. They're not afraid to touch an underwear. It's not only when they're going to take it off. They should know about it. They must know everything. You understand? So include the boys too. So when you're having that discussion with periods and menstruation and the cycle, have the boys sitting on the session to have their opinions expressed too. And that will help get rid of the shaming and the feeling of not being important or valued.
Right, and when she has an accident, it doesn't become such a big deal. Because what I've observed is when we go into the schools to do the work in schools, and we put the boys in the session like we normally do, when we get the report back from the counselor, they tell us that the boys are no longer teasing the girls. So if they see that they make up them clothes, because my advice to them is that if you see that her clothes is up, just go over to her and quietly say to her that she has cut the back of her skirt. You don't do anything. And what they find is that the boys, they do that and they become more empathetic. So they don't tease them, don't laugh them, don't point anymore, which is so important because they have a role to play. These things, we need to start separating them and integrate them so they can understand the holistic nature of what a period is.
Exactly. So the fear and the stigma would be, it becomes normalized.
There you
so
go.
It's something that's normal. It's nothing to be afraid of or ashamed of. And that's where we go. That's where we need to be.
That's the direction that we need to go, and we need everybody's help. And of course, I have to shamelessly plug my book. It's my body period. I've been trying to get the Ministry of Education to put this book on a book list. Continue to try. And it is so important that I wrote this book because I still see that there are a lot of persons who have difficulty just talking about periods. And that is something that we have to deal with, because if we're going to normalize it, if we're going to remove the shame, we have to be able to at least talk about it. And we're still calling people unclean. We're still saying that it is disrespectful for anybody to experience a period. All of those thought processes is what add to the shame. So that is really something that I would like us to examine and think about the way you talk about your own periods too, because that's a part of the things that mothers go and scare their daughters, because they have difficult periods. The daughters just build up this whole anxiety around periods because they think it's going to be horrible.
Yes, and that is true. So if we share and we talk openly and honestly, everything would be fine. And to get it to that point where it is normalized, shedding is that you turn up the light so that everything is just out there and you're exposed, so there's no shame.
Absolutely. But I want to say thank you so much. I know that you're at school and you're very, very busy, so I don't want to keep you on too long. But I want to say a really big thank you for joining us this morning and continue doing what you're doing. And I listen out to hear what the changes are, because we have work to do. 2020 still
I appreciate you having me on your program, Shelly. All the best. And I wish you success in everything that you put your hand to.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm embracing it. Thank you very much. I receive it. And tell the nurse I said hi.
I will.
All right, take care.
Okay.